Testing 1, 2. Always helps if you turn the mic on. How you doing, Chuck? You can hear now. I bet you can now. Okay, good morning. How are you? Okay, here we are. I just am, this view behind me, great place to do a live shot. I'm hoping you can hear me well because I've got the microphone. It's kind of windy up here, so I put the microphone way down here in my shirt. I'm hoping that you'll be able to hear me all right and not have too much wind noise. I'm in the Golan Heights. This is up in northeastern Israel. If you've ever been on a tour to Israel, you probably recognize this area because you probably came up here. That's Syria back there behind me in the distance. And I don't know if you can see on if the quality is good enough or not, but along this hillside, there's a whole bunch of barbed wire, concertina wire. There's bunkers up on this hill over here, which I am not going to show you because they're being used. And so this is a really great vantage point from which you can look down into Syria. It's just not very far. I just drove along the Syrian border to get up here, and there are two barbed wire fences that are pretty close together, and then there are mines in between. And so I would say fairly secure fence. The other thing is that the topography is quite extreme out here, and it's not that it would be impossible for Syrian tanks to make it across here or anything, but it would be difficult. And not only that, but Syria would have to bring their tanks a long way from where they are now, and they'd have to, basically give up their country because they're still fighting for to hold on to power in Syria against the Kurds, against the Turks. The Russians are in there helping. ISIS is still around in Syria. So it would not be a great idea for Syria to get involved right now in the war against Israel. Now, Israel has bombed Damascus airport a couple of times and in the last 3 weeks. And if you wonder why, the answer is because Iran was flying weapons into the airport in Damascus and then trucking them from there into Lebanon to give to Hezbollah. And so Israel just sort of, proactively bombed the airport and put it out of commission so that they can't do that anymore, which is pretty good, pretty smart. There are right down in the valley there. I'm going to see if I can. Let's have some fun here. I'm going to turn this around, and if we look down here in the valley, you can actually see the remnants of the last war that they had over here, which I think was about 1967. There's a tank down there. It's an old one, old blown up tank. And you see those a lot actually around on the Golan Heights. They had a lot of major tank battles apparently up here. And there's Syria in there. Actually, you can see the border. That's the border right. Oops, sorry. Let's try that again. That's the border right over there. So you see the border from up there. So pretty cool to be up here. It's kind of dangerous for me to be up here, not because I'm going to get shot by a sniper from Syria or anything, but because there are a lot of IDF running around, and a lone guy like me that's standing up on a high point and there's nobody else around and I've got a camera, typically gets me in trouble. I've already had a couple groups of soldiers come down from up here and check on me and make sure I wasn't a terrorist. they're friendly. You know, I'm cool with them. They're cool with me. You know, not a huge deal. But all along in the Golan Heights, there are concentrations of troops. Um, you know, Israel's got troops all over on all of their borders. I would say this is the one that they have to worry about the least, except for Jordan, of course, which Jordan is no threat to Israel. Uh, Jordan and Israel actually get along pretty well. So when I end up leaving Israel, I don't know when that'll be, maybe a week or more, depending on how the war goes. I'm actually thinking about leaving through Jordan because flying out of Tel Aviv is an absolute nightmare because you have to fly El Al, and El Al is just not friendly. You've never, you think you've been gate raped at the airport? You don't know gate rape until you've flown El Al. They will go through every single bag and every single piece of equipment and look through all your camera lenses and act like they've never seen anything like that before. And so you have to get to the airport like, you know, 4 or 5 hours early, and they're very decidedly unfriendly people. I guess, you know, you'd have to be if there were large groups of people around the world who were committed to your destruction. However, I'm told if I go out right across the border into Jordan, which is down that way, I can be to Amman in about 4 hours total and fly out of Amman. And not only is it, you know, less hassle getting through the airport, but it's about half the price of flying El Al. So you know, we try to save money wherever we can. And I haven't been to Jordan in probably 15 years, so it'd be interesting to go. You know, the interesting thing, one thing that is remarkable about the Golan Heights is just how green it is up here. This is a very dry climate, and so you would think that it would go to, you know, it would be more like a desert, but Israel has done a great job, absolutely great job of developing drought-resistant fruits and vegetables. I'm listening to gunfire off in the distance over there. That's not an attack or anything. That's Israeli soldiers training. I heard a tank firing a little while ago, but hang on a minute. I got to put focus mode on, or somebody's going to call and bump me off. Do not disturb. Yeah, they're doing live fire training, doing what they can to be ready, and before they send their guys into combat if they have to go. To give you a quick update on what's going on down in the south, in Gaza, the last I heard, they've released the names of 16 soldiers from the IDF who have been killed in the operations. They have pushed about 3 miles or more into Gaza now. You hear the media, probably all you're hearing on the mainstream media is about this bomb that they dropped on the refugee camp out there. And the refugee camp was actually, you know, full of Palestinian extremists, and they dropped a bomb and killed some Hamas commanders in there. Then just keep in mind, I want you to remember this, you are subject to information war. They are doing what they can to change your mind, to influence your opinion about the subject of this war. And so they're going to quote the numbers of dead from that attack that they get from Hamas, essentially. So do you think that Hamas would tell the truth about how many people were killed in that attack? If it was a precision pinpoint attack and only 4 people were killed, do you think they would tell you only 4 people were killed? No, because that doesn't serve their purposes. What serves their purposes is to tell you that 500 people died or whatever. So they're gonna, you hear the mainstream media saying that hundreds of people were killed and injured. The likelihood is that it was probably more like dozens. And that's because Israel doesn't need to drop a 2,000-pound bomb on a refugee camp. And there's nothing in their sort of past history that would say that they would do that they would wantonly murder civilians. They have done everything they could to keep from murdering civilians, up to and including telling the civilians exactly where they're going to drop the bomb. I don't think they told them where they're going to drop the bomb in this place because, in this case, because then the Hamas leaders would leave. But they have already warned everybody in that area that they would be dropping bombs in that area after a certain date. And if you're not gone, then you're considered a hostile. That is not anything like that. There's no moral equivalency to that and Hamas coming in and murdering a bunch of civilians. Okay. Now, I want to go a little further. I talked yesterday. I was up in the West Bank, or the Judea and Samaria. Yesterday, I was up on the Mount of Blessing with the guys from HaYovel. HaYovel is an organization that it's a bunch of farmers from Tennessee that moved to Israel to help the Jewish settlers with their farming. And they felt like that was a way that they could actually fulfill prophecy from the Bible, because the Bible says that foreigners will come back and will help, plant your crops and that sort of thing to the Jews. And so they want to bless Israel by helping the Jews however they can. And they're great people up there. You can watch their YouTube channel by going to the Israel Guys on YouTube. Oh, there's a military helicopter over there flying around too in the sunset. I'm not going to show you around a lot because of the place where I am. There are some sensitive things around here that I can't show you, so I got to be careful about where I point the camera. I'm up in the Golan Heights if you're just joining us. This is a place where normally tourists would come to take in the view and understand more about the Golan Heights. That is back over there. That is the Syrian border. And so I wanted to come up here. And when I got up here, there was nobody up here but military guys. And so, like I say, I kind of have to be careful about, I don't want to tell bad people things they don't need to know. I don't want to, show anything that's bad. So, but I did want you to be able to see the view. How's it going? So anyway, HaYovel is a group of Christians who moved up to Judea and Samaria to help out the Jews however they can. They are now highly at risk because they are surrounded by about 3 million Palestinian Arabs who are pretty riled up right now. And there's not much between them and these angry Arabs except vineyards. So it would be definitely possible for angry extremist Muslim Arabs to, recreate October 7th in the West Bank or in Judea and Samaria if they wanted to, and that's a real risk. That's a real challenge. And these people that I met up there, I asked them, well, they've got their families there and their little kids. I said, are you gonna, pull out? You're gonna go, move? And they said, as long as there's Jews here, we're staying here, and we're gonna stand with the Jews. There's never been a better time to stand with the Jews than right now. So you got to respect that. But while I was up there, I got to visit a Samaritan village. Now, I didn't know a lot about them. The guy I was with told me a little bit about the Samaritans. I thought, I just am fascinated by those tiny subcultures of people that you find all around the world. The Samaritans are, biblical Samaria, the biblical Samaritans, like the Good Samaritan from the Bible. That people group actually split off from Judaism. So I've done a little more research on this, so I understand it a little bit better. They have their own form of Judaism, and they think that they have the only correct form of Judaism, and that the other Jews are sort of apostate. They believe that mountain I was on yesterday that they live on, which is the Mount of Blessing, is actually the Temple Mount, is where the temple is supposed to be, that theirs is the only real temple, and that that is the holiest site on earth. That mountain that I stayed on last night, the Samaritans believe is pretty much the center of the whole world, and that's the holiest site. And so they all flock there on religious holidays like Sukkot and Passover and things like that. Now they're a very small group of people. The Samaritans are today about less than 1,000 people. They apparently got down to like 150 people at one point, and so they, trying to keep their people group alive, they have become somewhat inbred, and you can tell. I just hear a bunch of people yelling over there across the way. I wonder what they're doing. We're having a party. They seem somewhat inbred. They got big ears, I mean real big ears, and very noticeable, like, whoa, look at the ears on those people. And I guess they have had to try to convert non-Samaritans to become Samaritan from around the world, but only women, to bring in to their people group to expand the gene pool a little bit, so that they can, get rid of that problem of inbreeding, which is like pretty scary, pretty weird. But so fascinating to go see them. Like I say, it's like 800 or 900 people now that are Samaritan, that are legit Samaritans, and that's all. And they pretty much, most of them live on that mountain overlooking the city of Nablus. There's a whole lot of firing going on over there. They're out on a live fire range. I can tell the difference listening to that gunfire between like combat and range firing, because you hear, like, in range firing, you hear nothing for a minute, and then everybody fires all at once, and then nothing for a minute, and then everybody fires all at once, because you can just almost hear the guy down there going, ready, aim, fire, and then everybody shoots their gun. Whereas combat is just, a lot more crazy, right? So I'm going to go ahead and go further north today and try to get up back closer to Kiryat Shimona and bring you an update from the northern Lebanese border. And when if I get any information, I'll try to go live. I also filmed some stuff on the road coming up from the Syrian border, where you can actually see the fence and see the mines. They have signs everywhere. I had to drive through a minefield to get up here. There's mines all over Golan Heights, and a lot of burned fields, some of which may have been burned from incoming fire from Syria, because they had some indirect fire that was fired over here from some of the militias over there shooting at Israel, kind of symbolically almost in protest of what they're doing in Gaza. And usually, because this is such a sparsely populated area, all that does is just start some fields on fire or something. You can see some burned fields down there, but I think the ones I saw were probably just farmers burning off their, just burning the weeds off their fields, because it was pretty widespread. But suffice it to say, there's barbed wire and minefields all over out there. So if anybody ever did come across from Syria, they'd have to go through a whole lot of minefields to get to anything important in here. And if you want to know more about the Golan Heights, I would suggest just go to Wikipedia and read up on the Golan Heights. It's fascinating history up here. It was held by Jordan. It was taken over by Israel in the Six-Day War. And so there's just a lot of really cool history up here. A lot of the kibbutzim up here. We went to one the last time I was here that specializes in dubbing movies. That's their product. A lot of the kibbutzim actually grow products. They grow fruit, they grow vegetables or whatever. This one we went to actually dubs movies into other languages. That's their product. And so it's a whole little commune of people that's all they do is dub movies. And that's very interesting. You have some that do jewelry and crafts and all sorts of stuff. That whole concept of a kibbutz is kind of interesting to me, and a little communist, really. It's like a happy hippie commune. Okay, so anyway, I've got to run Sorry it's so short today. I wish I could take more of your questions, but what I'll try to do is go back and look at the questions you're asking and then answer them on the next live that I do, or answer them on the CBN news live that I will do later on tonight. So I'll be further up in the north. When I get somewhere safe that's got decent internet, I'll do a live on CBN News YouTube channel and try to answer some of the questions you've been asking from here. All right? So God bless you all. Thank you for watching. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow. Oh, by the way, you can follow me on chuckholton.locals.com. If you want to contribute, you can contribute there, or go to my link tree, which should be being posted in the comments there. I just can't see them. All right? So take care.